Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about how to never become profitable. I'm going to list out a bunch of habits that people do in general to make them not profitable. And basically, the point of this video is that humans are actually really good at identifying flaws, and we are really good at seeing stuff that we're not good at or seeing stuff that is wrong. So using this technique of thinking called inversion thinking, we will sort of identify all the areas where we should not be doing it, and in turn, it will make it easier for us to identify what we should do. Alex Hormozi has actually done a video like this in the past about how to never get rich, or like 28 reasons to stay poor or something. Yeah, I'll link his video in the description if you guys want to check his video out, but we'll get straight into it. So the first thing is just to not focus on the long term at all. Focus on short term. Think that this is getting rich quick. Think that this is something where you can just put in 1 or 2 hours of work and just get money out of it, and not really understand what trading is. For the majority of you guys, you probably know, so I'll not elaborate too much on that. But I literally had a conversation with a friend yesterday, and she wanted to learn trading with like 10 minutes. And I don't know if she means like 10 minutes a day or like 10 minutes a week, but 10 minutes is just not enough, regardless of whether it's a day or not. Just make sure that if you guys are into this trading thing and you want to get profitable, then you have to actually put time into it and you have to be thinking long term. And the second thing is just patience. If you don't have the patience to watch through this whole video, you probably wouldn't make it as well. If you don't have the patience to wait for your trade setup to form, you will not be able to become profitable. If you are rushing the process, just keep strategy hopping, just keep changing things up every single time something doesn't work, or keep stopping whenever there's something that doesn't go your way, and just having impatience will just make you never profitable. So now we're just going to the sections, and we'll have 3 sections in this video. So the first section is just risk. A very easy way to stay unprofitable is just over leverage or over risk. Risk like 5% per trade or something, or 10%, and just not even be consistent with your risk. Always putting in a lot of risk and never calculating it properly. And for a lot of people, it's very easy to get rid of this by just setting limits, or just market executing a fixed size that is around 1% risk or 2% risk. But usually for beginners, it's best to just keep it at 1% risk or less. Only when you become really confident in your strategy, then you can change it up to 2%. Now, the second point is just not managing your risk. It's one thing to over leverage, but it's another thing to just not manage it at all. This can be in the form of trading multiple times a day and just not really caring about how much percent you're risking per week or per day. Because even if you're risking 1% per trade, that might sound really good, but if you're risking 1% per trade and you're taking 20 trades per day, that is technically 20% risk per day. Regardless of whether you win or you lose, you're still risking 20% per day. So an easy way to stay unprofitable is just to not manage it at all, and to have no rules around risk, and to just risk whatever you want. And the third thing about risk is just to revenge trade. Whenever you lose and you start hunting for the trade setup, and you notice that it's probably because you want to make that money back, that is when you are revenge trading. And that is just a very easy way for you to stay unprofitable forever. Because if you are constantly revenge trading, it means you haven't really fully accepted loss, and there's a lot of psychology that goes into it. So that's just a very simple way of becoming unprofitable, and we'll not go into the psychology bit of that specific habit in this video. So the next section is just journaling. If you guys want to stay unprofitable, just don't journal your emotions, don't journal your technicals, and just don't collect data in general. This is something that is pretty easily done, and it literally just requires a bit of discipline. Whenever you finish your trades, just collect the data down, but you have to put like 2 separate journals. You have to have one for psychology and you have to have one for technicals. So you have to know when your strategy performs best, at what times, depending on your strategy, I guess, but sort of like what fair value gaps work or what order blocks work and all that. And if you're not collecting data on that, then that is what leads to not lack of confidence when you're trading. Because if you don't have data, then how can you be confident in your model? And if you don't see it happen time and time again, then how can you stay convicted when the price action is really choppy? That's just a very easy way to stay unprofitable forever. And not journaling your emotions as well. I feel like a lot of people don't really tend to journal down their emotions, but if you don't journal down your emotions or your thoughts or exactly what you're feeling during, before, and after the trade, then it becomes really difficult to recognize what your problems are, because there's always a lot of problems, and no mentor can really just understand you completely. There's a lot of different things that make up a person's psychology, and basically all your past memories and experiences add up to this psychology that you have in your brain, and how you perceive the market and how you perceive loss or risk or wins is always going to be different. So money to you is not the same as money to me. So everybody views money and everybody views trading differently. So that's why journaling down your psychology is really important, because that is something that only you can sort of teach yourself. It's really difficult for somebody else to just go in there and dissect your problems. You have to be the one doing it yourself and figuring out the problems yourself. And if you're not journaling down, then it's really difficult to dissect your problems. No, I do have a journal video that you guys can watch. I'll link that in the description as well, so you guys can watch that after this one. And I have a free Notion template that you guys can use as well. And I'm also working on creating a Notion template for journaling your psychology. And the next thing is just strategy. Not having a strategy and just not collecting data, not having an edge, or having an edge but not following it, is just a very simple way to become unprofitable. I said in my most recent TikTok video as well, a lot of people, they have a strategy, but then they just think that it's too simple, so they start to look for more. But I think it's really important for people to just be comfortable with their strategy and find something that works for you, because something that works for you might not work for others as well. So just make sure that you are not getting FOMO. You don't have to see somebody else use ICT and it means that you have to use ICT. You know what I mean? Like, I see people who are really profitable with smart money concepts. I see them having really high risk to reward, but I don't get FOMO out of that. I don't look at that and go, oh, I have to learn that, because I have my own strategy. I follow ICT and I am comfortable with that. My strategy is usually not the highest risk to reward. It's usually around 1 to 2 to 1 to 4. Sometimes you can go up to 1 to 10, but I rarely ever leave it for running up to 1 to 10. So I'm comfortable with that, because I would rather have that than to have a 20% win rate and have a really high risk to reward, which is what some people have. So just be comfortable with your own strategy and never compare your strategy to others. Switching your strategy as well is just something that a lot of people do that keeps them unprofitable, because there's a learning phase and there's an executing phase. And if every time you finish learning and you get to the execution part and then you switch during your execution phase, that is when you just keep restarting that whole process and you never get to become profitable. So I'll probably make a more in-depth video about this, called the scientific method, and how you can use the scientific method to sort of think about how to actually find a strategy that works. But a very simple sort of action point is just to not switch your strategy unless you really don't like it, or unless you don't find success in it. And another thing about strategy as well is just some people just keep learning, and they just keep learning and learning and learning instead of implementing. And something that you guys need to realize is that you can be a complete idiot and not know the market at all and still make money from one trade. You know what I mean? Just because you place a trade and you win doesn't mean you understand the market. It could just be luck. So given that piece of information, you don't really need to know about the markets 100%, or you don't really need to know about the markets that much to become profitable. All you need is really just a strategy that works, and a strategy where your win rate and your risk to reward balances out to give you wins over time. So that's why even if you don't fully know everything about the market, you can still be profitable. So a very easy way to stay unprofitable is just to think that you need to keep learning, or think that you need to keep getting more information before you start trading. Start with, demo trades or live trading when you have enough information, and you'll figure it out along the way. Even after you become profitable, you can still keep modifying your strategy to fit you better, to fit maybe the timing better, or to get slightly higher risk to reward, or just to refine your trades into having a higher win rate. It doesn't really matter, but the point is that you can become profitable and still have a lot to learn. It's not like after you have become profitable, then there's nothing more to learn. So don't keep learning and think that just because you're learning, then you're not profitable. You can completely be profitable and still be learning. So yeah, don't get stuck in the tutorial trap and just keep learning and keep looking at other people's videos. Another thing that links with that is to always think that whenever you lose, it means your strategy is flawed. No, because no matter how good your strategy is, or no matter how good of a trader you are still likely to face losses at some point. So it's not all the time that whenever you lose, it's something to do with your strategy. Sometimes it's just the market not playing out, or sometimes it's just your psychology. So don't always think that just because you lost, it means you have to dig up a reason. A lot of times losses can lead to lessons, but a lot of times losses can also just be a statistic. So you don't always have to be looking for things, because if you're constantly looking for something to add to your strategy just because you lost, then your strategy is just going to become very complicated and also very malleable. It might just mess up your data, because you're adding all these different things to your strategy that you have not properly tested. And so the last bit is just psychology, going in and out of positions because you feel like it or because of your feelings, predicting instead of reacting, moving stop losses and take profits without having proper plans for them, and being fearful and being greedy. It's just very simple things that you guys can do to become unprofitable, and also being impatient, as I talked about before. But I think a lot of psychology, it really dives deeper into that, but on the surface level, it's fear and greed, it's moving your stop losses, it's not having enough conviction in your strategy. Given the list of things that I've talked to you guys about in this video, I hope that you guys have found this helpful. Take notes down and try to reflect on them and sort of dig deeper into these surface level topics and try to sort of find out what it is for yourself. So with this, I'm going to be posting a lot more psychology videos from now on, and it's going to dive a lot more deeper into these topics and be more in depth into how you guys can identify how to become less fearful, or how when you're being greedy, for example. So I'm going to have a lot of videos like that, or how you can stick to one strategy, or how you can test out a strategy, and just topics like that. So I will be posting those from now on, so subscribe if you guys haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.